Hello everyone, this is Ravindra. Today we're going to discuss on the topic SAC data validation rules in planning. So in SAC planning, validation rules are used to restrict planning data to only valid combinations of dimensions, or we can say allowed member combinations to prevent improper data input. So finally, it prevents invalid data input, right? So when user is planning, manual planning, and is trying to enter the data, and you want that only certain valid combination of values to be entered, right? Invalid combinations should not be published. So then we go for your data validation. So the types of validations, we have two types of validations. I say types of validations. So one is member-based validation rules. So VR is your validation rules, and another is your attribute-based validation rules. Attribute or property-based validation rules. So, so member-based validation rules are based on your combination of dimension members. Then we're going to use dimension 1, then you're going to use dimension 2, and you can use a combination of dimension 3. So member 1 and member 2 and member 3, right? So this is a combination of your valid values. So in which we can have maximum 3 dimensions in your member-based validation. Second, when you go for attribute-based validation rules, this is going to derive related members based on your attribute values. Okay. So in this, we'll be having a dimension, and within your dimension, you'll be having some property, property P1, property P2, and you maintain the valid values within your main dimension. So this dimension is known as your reference dimension. So in this, we can keep this as, for example, M1, then property as M2, and another property as M3. And for this particular property, we'll try to link this or assign this to your dimension. Okay, so this is D1, this is dimension 2, and we should have one more dimension, that is your D3. So property 2 will be linked to your D3, and P1 will be linked to your P2. Okay, so this is your master data value P2, and this is your M3, member 3. So here dimension is M1, so you'll be having your property values here, and this property values will be matched with your dimension values. So this will do practicals and see this. Okay, so before creating your data validation rules, the restrictions are to use your validation rules, user must have the planning professional license. Okay, and you have validation rule permission should be there. So then only you'll be able to create your validation rules. So this one we'll see, I'll show you practically. Okay, then you can create 3 rules for one model. And you can define up to 3 dimensions in one rule. Max is 3 dimensions. Then you can use the same dimension in up to 10 different rules. So another point is you cannot choose time or version dimensions in a dimension combination rule. As it is, time and version will not be appearing within your dimension list. So no need to worry. Next is you cannot use system properties. Only custom properties are supported for your attribute based validation rules. Okay. So all values of the property are available as dimension members. Now the property values or should be available as your dimension members in the match dimension. Otherwise, you'll receive an error or warning message. Okay. The attribute values, what you have here, should have a matching entry in your dimension member also. If this value is not maintained, then it throws an error there, right? Fine then. First, let's go for your uh, planning professional license, and after that, valid rule permission. Okay. Now, in order to enable the data validation rules in planning, let's see one practical. I have one user, R who is a system owner. Then I have another user, that is user one. Okay, this is a second user. So this user is not having your validation rules. When this user is trying to create a planning model, start with an empty model. So currently I will not take any dimensions, and let me go for creating one new measure, call it as revenue. Decibels 7 is fine. Aggregation type as sum, and disaggregation type, I'll take it as standard. Unit as currency, I'm keeping it as fixed currency, and the decimal places, I'll keep it as 0. Okay. And the date type, I'll try to maintain this at, let's do for only 1 year, 2026, and granularity, I'll keep it as year wise. Should be fine. Now refresh it. Go back. Then save this model. I'll save under public. Then go to E2Tech project. If you want, I can create one separate folder for this, that is data validation. Click on create. So within this folder, we'll give it as data underscore validation underscore model. Let's save this description and save the model. So once you save your model, then in order to enable the data validation, go to model settings, access and privacy, select the data validation rules and click on OK. Save it. So after saving, we don't find the validation rules enabled because this user doesn't have the rights to create any validation rules. So then let's go to the system owner and create one role. And go to create a new role. So validation underscore roles. So I'll keep it as validation roles and paste it. Now the license type should be planning professional. Okay. I'm going to click on next. Take the role as blank temp. So currently I'm taking blank role template. Click on next step and save it. Now within the tasks, I need to go to your search bar and enter it as validation rule. Okay. So within the validation rule, we have create, read, update, and delete it. For creating a new rule or updating or deleting, so we should have a planning professional. So now let me select create, read, update, and delete permissions and save it. Then I need to assign these roles to a user. So go to the users. So the second user is user one. Click on OK. Update is done, but I'll just save it. Done. Now let's go back to your user one and refresh the whole page so that the roles are updated to the user. Now, when you go to the drop-down list, you'll find the validation rules here. Let's go to the validation rules. From here, you can create new validation rules. Okay. That is a process for creating your role with planning professional license and the validation rule permission. Fine. Now, so we'll take a simple scenario in which we have company code. Under a company code, we have 3 profit centers. That is shared services, operations, and marketing. Right. So under the shared services, we have plant maintenance, HR services, and build and maintenance cost centers. Okay. Under 200, there is operations. We have manufacturing cost center. And under marketing, we have brand and advertising and event marketing. These are the 2 cost centers under marketing. This is a valid structure of your enterprise structure, right? Now, so for this exercise, we'll create 3 dimensions. That is your company code, profit center, and cost center. Okay. So let's build it. First, we'll create company code. Go to create company code. That is comp_code. Description, I'll give it as company code. Type is generic. Click on add. Next, we'll create one more dimension. That is your profit center. Then I'll copy this. Click on add. So one more dimension. Cost center. Type is generic. Add. So we have 3 dimensions. And next, we'll try to create this as private dimensions. Okay. You can click on the company code, save as public dimension. We'll save this under public EduTech project, data validation rules. Click on save. Same way like profit center, save as public dimension. Save it. Cost center. Once done. So still there, private dimensions only. So I'll try to remove all these three dimensions. Next, add up the public dimensions. Click on public, then select the dimension table. I'll take here as company code. Then second dimension. Profit center. Cost center. So these are public dimensions. So you can see the map icon within your additional details. Okay. Now we'll try to maintain your master data for this. So before that, let me save it. So cross-check the values one time for version. Only the default public.actual. Date 2026. Granularity is at year level. Then coming to company code, go to edit. So it should be 1000 and say to take company code, save it, go back. Now for the profit center, I'll go to the Excel file, and within the Excel file, I'll copy the text in the member ID 100, 200, and 300. Okay, these are the profit center list. Save it. Next, coming to cost center, go to edit. Now within the cost center, this is your cost center IDs. Okay, these are your cost center member IDs and description. So let me copy both the fields. Done. Next, what we'll do is we'll try to create one property. Create property. And the property name, I'll give it as profit center. Click on create. And one more property. We'll create it as, go to property, create one more property. That is your company code. Click on create. So two properties we have created. And for this, let's go to this validation table. So according to the structure, the valid combination of values is company code 1000, profit center 100, right? 1000, 100, and 1. This is 1102, 1103. These are the three valid cost centers under your 100 profit center. So these are the three values. So this is your hierarchical representation, and this is your flat representation as a table. So now already we entered these values. So I'll copy the profit center and company code values into your properties. Control C and paste it. So once done, save it. So in attribute-based validation rules, cost center is known as your reference dimension. And we have to map your profit center and company code to your corresponding dimensions, right? That we'll see a little later. Now, once this is done, so our master data attributes or members has been uploaded or created. So after that, we'll go for planning side, right? Entering the transaction data. So for this, let's go for creating one input form. Go to Canvas. Within the canvas, drag and drop the table. I'll remove the data pane here. And coming to your columns, select at least one measure, that is your revenue. And rows, add dimension. First, I'll take company code, cost center, company code, profit center, and cost center, right? Then what we have to do is, in order to get your proper valid values, we'll try to remove your hash values, all right? So for hash values removal, I'll select to all members. Hash is nothing but unassigned member. So we need to take all members and remove the unassigned, right? All members included except unassigned. Click on OK. Profit centers also. We'll try to take this as all members. Remove the unassigned. Cost center. And remove the unassigned for this. Once done, version, currently it is actual. Revenue is fine. And these are your filters which are applied. Okay. Now, next step is, so we'll try to little bit format this one. Select on the table, go to styling. Within the styling, color fill for editable cells. So for input cells, we'll try to make this as green, light green, you'll try to keep it up. Click on OK. Select the rows and come down. So in the cell, click on the wrap text. It's done. Then after that, your revenue, we'll try to click on wrap text. Done. Next, when I go to the builder, under company code, select it as show unbooked data. Then go to the measures, click on show unbooked data. Fine. So just drag to the last, and this I'll put to the last. Now this is our data. And what I can do is click on the company code, and the company code, I want to display values as ID. profit center as ID, cost center as ID, so that we recognize the numbers easily. And now it shows here that these are all our input enabled, right? So company code 1000, profit center 100. So cost center is 1000, 101. So cost center 1, 2, and 3. Actually, to our enterprise structure or of the business. So 1, 2, 3 cost centers only belong to your profit center and 1000 company code. These three values are invalid. Okay. In the same way, for 200, only the value 100, 201. Only this should be input enabled, and remaining field should be locked and it should not enable and user input. So in order to enter only the valid values into my planning, we use your validation rules. So first I'll show you attribute-based validation rules. Then we'll go for member-based validation rules. Okay. So then let's save this input form first. Click on save, public, ETOTech project. It's fine. So validation rules underscore input underscore form. Just I'll copy this and save. So let's create one validation rule for this. Then I'll copy the same URL for one more session. Go to the modeler. Within the modeler. So now we'll again cross-check, go to model settings and see that access and policy validation rules are enabled. Yes. Okay, that's good. Now go for your validation rules. Within the validation rule, now there are two types of rules. One is your member-based, another is your attribute-based. So create with existing attributes. So we'll go for attribute-based rules first. And this rule, I'll call this as attribute-based validation AVR underscore comp underscore profit underscore cost, right? Underscore rule. Then I'll copy this name and put into this. So currently it is active. Now here, the main dimension, which has got your cost center IDs as well as your profit center and company code, is your reference dimension. So select this as cost center, which has got your main IDs, and for what are the associated cost centers, right? So these cost centers are assigned to your profit center. So what is your matching dimension for that? So you have to select your property, right? So you have to select your property column, that is your profit center, match to your dimension, that is your profit center. Okay. So once done, click on OK. So the values, when it is matching from property values as well as dimension values, it shows this values here. Next, go to your dimension, match dimension. The second dimension is your company code, match to or link to your company code here. And when you click on OK, the corresponding company codes are also displayed here. So this acts like a validity table or lookup table for us. Okay. Once done, now click on save. Rules are successfully done. Then if I go to your model structure, Go to your model structure, and within this, save one time. Done. Go back to your report now. Click on refresh one time. Previously, we were able to input all the data for all the cost centers, but now we can see that once our validation rules are enabled, then your profit center, only these three cost centers are enabled for input planning. Okay, let me go to edit. Go to the builder, and for cost center, let me select the table. For cost center, I'll try to display as ID. Fine. And next. So in order to enable this warning, so you can click on the table, go to show or hide. There you need to enable your reasons for unplanned data. Okay. So once you enable it, so why it is disabled or locked, right? That reason you can get it is locked by validation rule. Fine. Now what I'll do is I'll plan the data for each cost center 500 each. Say 500 for cost center 1, 500, 500, and these values are not enabled for entering the data. Okay. And next, within 200 profit center, I can enter only for one particular cost center, right? That is 201. So I'll make it as 500. Just come down. Then for 300, how many are there according to our diagram? So for 300, it should be 301 and 302. So cost center 301 and 302. Now go for entering 500 here. Then go for entering 500 here. Okay. Sounds good. Now we can post it. Click on publish data. And done. So this is the beauty of your validation rules. Ensure that your hash values for your dimension members, each dimension members, you have to disable it. If you enable it, then what happens is whenever you're planning for at cost center level or profit center level, it will try to enter into your unbooked values. Okay. So now let me create one more. Let me create one more canvas page and go to the page 1. Copy to page 2. Within this, the second page, page number 2. So we can remove this cost center. Then go to your profit center. We can see that at company code level, the booked value is 3000. Right? Now, we'll come in the reverse way. Say, for example, so we have planned at each cost center level, right? Individual cost center levels. Then the data within your model now. So we'll see the data, how it is stored in your validation model. Select this as planning. And we have 6 cost centers and each allocated. And we book the values for 500 each. Okay, that is fine. Now let's delete the data for all planning data. So we'll come little reverse to that. So we'll do vice versa. Go back to input form and refresh the data refresh. Currently at company code level, we are not booked any value. So let's say at company code, I'm trying to book the value here at 3000 and enter. The moment I plan at company code level, now how the distribution should be done. So we should know that once we try to book the value at company code level, then what system does is I'll take it a little separately and explain you. Here we have our validation table. So this is your cost center reference dimension. Okay. And profit center. So this is your profit center is another dimension. And one more is your cost center. Okay. There are two dimensions. One is your profit center and cost center. So what are your values for this? In the profit center, it is 100, then 200 and 300. In the main dimension of your profit center, we have three unique values here. Company code is 1000. Okay. So company code, I'll take some color for this. So while creating your validation rule, then what happens is your attribute or your property is being linked to your profit center. Okay. In the same way, your company code also is linked to your main dimension. Okay. So if I'm trying to book the value for here in the report, say for example, in the report, I have cost center and the value that is your revenue. And say I'm trying to book the value here for 1000. So for cost center now, 1000, I'm trying to book the value as value 3000 here. Okay. Then what is this? This cost center will go for your company code. Sorry, it is not cost center. Okay. This is your fact table, right? So this cost center will be linked to this, and your company code will be linked to this, and profit center will be linked to this one. So this is the fact table. Cool. Now, this is your input form. So within the input form, when you enter here for company code 1000, the value is 3000, what you want to book it. Then the data, then the company code of 1000 will be searching for this 1000. Then it will go to your reference dimension for all this company codes, right? For all this company codes, you'll try to search what are your cost centers here. Okay, directly it will go to your what are the corresponding cost centers, and to this cost centers, it will distribute this 3000 equally. to this 3000, it will try to distribute the data equally. If values are available, then it will proportionately distribute it. So now let's see the example now. So once it is done, go back, select this as planning. Currently we're not published, so go for unpublished data. And we can see that company code we entered company code as 1000, and the total value we have given it as 3000. It has distributed the values to each cost center here. And with the matching dimensions, we'd get your profit center also updated properly. Now, let's plan for the values, not at company code level. So I'll try to revert the data back. If you try to plan this at profit center level, select the profit center. Okay. Now I'm trying to give here for profit center 1000. 1000 is another 1000. And for 300, it is 1000. Okay. So total 3000 I'm trying to allocate to this each profit center, right? Now we can see how the data is getting distributed. Go back to the data validation. No, refresh. Now see the values here. So when you allocate the data at profit center level, then this 1000 is being distributed equally to each cost center. Okay, fine. So 1000, 100. Then combination of values, we'll try to look up within this. So 1000 and 100. So there are two values here, three values here. So for this three values, it'll try to distribute the values equally here. Okay, so what will happen? For 1000, it'll search for your profit center. At this profit center level, we allocated 1000 here, and this 1000 will be allocated to your cost centers. Okay, and for this cost center, you'll be having 333 here, 33 and 333 here, and this is 1000, and this is 500, and this will be 500 because there are two entries for this as 1000 and this is 1000 here. Okay, this is a second scenario what you're trying to say it. And so first is we have entered the data at company code, profit center, and cost center. Next, company code level and company code and profit center level, right? Okay. Even if your validation rules are enabled, say for example, if you have your cost center also included, okay, this is good. So one more scenario. So I'm not booking any values at company code level, and I can go to revert the data. Okay. Now let me go to the filter. So within the profit center, I'll go to the profit center. Say, for example, I'm assigning if this hash is enabled, and in cost center also, if hash is enabled there, okay, then what happens is when you're planning the data at your company code level, all right, then go to your data validation and click on refresh. You find that your booked values will be booked to your unassigned profit center and cost center here. Then What you have to do is you have to manually book from your unbooked values to your cost center, unbooked values to your private. So then you have to book this unbooked value to corresponding profit centers with the help of your data actions or allocations. Okay, fine. One more use case. So one more scenario is I'm trying to take this as 3000 as a booked value. Then I try to publish the data. 3000 is done. Then if I go for refresh, go to planning, still it is enabled. So we'll remove the cost centers, unassigned values. I'll just make it as normal. So I'm deleting the data, come back and refresh. Okay. And for profit centers and cost centers, I removed the hash so that only valid values will be booked. Fine. And let me go to the cost center and book here as 3000 and enter. And data validation, sorry, go for your publish the values for this. When I try to switch the data now, it should allocate 500 to each cost center, right? So 500 should be allocated to each cost center. That's fine. So over a period of time, we'll think that your building and maintenance has been, this cost center has been changed to your operations. Now I'll try to put this under your operations now and enter the value here. Fine. But previously the data was booked under your cost center 100, right? To impact this change, then what we need to do is first, initially, when you make a change, the structure within your reference dimension, then in the data, it should throw an error, right? Or it should throw a warning telling that, yes, there is some impact in the changes. Then after that, you should manually change it, or you can use your data actions in order to allocate the data to a different profit center, right? So in order to change the cost center to a different profit center, then let's go to your cost center, go to edit. So building and maintenance, which is under profit center 100. Now I'll change this to 200 and save the data. So once you save it, then automatically in your validation rule also that will impact immediately. You can see that your building and maintenance has gone to your profit center 200. Fine. So then let's go to your input form here. That is your page 1. Now, if you see this, previously it was, this was a value which was stored up, right? So it's showing that your cost center 103 is under your profit center, but there is a warning here that there is a change. So data changes not allowed. So no, you will not be able to make any changes to this data now. And any data changes except for deleting data are not allowed due to validation rules. You cannot modify the data, but you can delete the data and allocate this data to some other profit center. So what is your profit center? So you can do this with the help of your data actions also, but currently I'm trying to remove this. I'm trying to uh, remove from here and allocate this data to your 200 and 1003. Now this is input enabled now according to the rules. Then after that, once done, you can delete your previous data and reallocate it to your 200 now. Now save it. Sorry. Now what you can do is you can publish it. So when any changes in your structure happens, then you need to reallocate the data to a different profit center. Okay. So the next topic we'll discuss on member-based validation rule. So in member-based validation rules, we have to maintain a validity table, which consists of 3 dimensions, right? So dimension 1, dimension 2, and dimension 3. Maximum we can take 3 dimensions, or you can take 2 dimensions also, right? Next, in our scenario, our dimensions are company code, profit center, and your cost center. This is a combination of 3 dimensions, dimension 1, dimension 2, and dimension 3. So within this validity table, we need to provide the valid values here. All right, say company code 1000, then profit center, then the list of valid cost centers to this one. So whenever you want to post some value for company code 1000 as value 3000, company code, while posting, it will search for this value, whether this value is there in your company code member or not. First validation has to happen, right? So after that, it goes to your company code and sees for the list of, then it search for the 1000 company code, then gets its profit centers, valid profit centers. Then for this combination again, it will find what are the list of cost centers here. So it will be finding all six cost centers and allocate the value of 3000 equally to allocate or distribute the values equally to this cost centers, which makes this as 500 each. Okay. The same functionality as your reference dimension, but here instead of your maintaining the validity table within the master data, we're trying to maintain a separate validity table here. So this is what we call it as a member-based validation. If you go for company code and profit center, then say for example 100, 200, and 300, and you allocate here as 1000, so 1000 and 1000. Then it'll go for combination of company code and cost centers. So company code, so it'll just validate here for this company code and this list of profit centers. Then for this combination of values, it'll see for 1000, and here after this, so here we allocated as 1000, for 2 this is 1000, And for this, it is 1000. Okay. So then accordingly, your values will be 333. Then it will be your 1000, 500, and 500. Cool. So now let's see this practically. So let me go to your files, public, then E2Tech project. So within this model validation, so data validation model, I'll select it and try to copy this. I'll try to create a separate one now, right? So data validation underscore member model. Include data. I don't want the data. Just click on copy. So once it is done, I'll select it. So the previous validation rule, right? So access and privacy, I'll try to remove this validation rules, save it. You can see that there is only data management, but no validation rule, right? Now, when I go to the cost center, as this is a public dimension, so your master data value remains, right? Okay, now let's go back. Access and privacy, enable data validation rules again. Next, save it. Once you save, you'll be finding the validation rules option. Click on it. Now let's go to create with members. And this is, I'll give name as member-based validation rule underscore comp underscore profit underscore cost underscore rule. So previous one was AVR, but now this is MVR. Done. So when you want to specify multiple members within one row, then you can specify the separator for that. So default is your comma separator. Now here it is not a reference dimension, but it is directly your dimension. So go to your dimension, and here you can specify your cost center or company code. Then after that, your profit center, then your cost center. So these are the three member dimensions. And for this dimension, we have to specify the validity data. Okay, the valid data we need to update within this table. So let me take this values, Control C, and try to update this. Done. Now save this. If you want to display this as IDs, you can change the option here. So one way is we are trying to specify individual values separately here. So here, these three values, right? Company code 1000, profit center is 100 only, and they're three distinct cost centers. Either you can create three rows separately, or we can delete these three rows and create one more row here. That is go for 1000. Then after that, your profit center is shared services 100. Okay. Now coming to the cost center, we can specify all the three cost centers in one particular row itself. Now see 101, comma 102, comma 103. In order to reduce the table size, you can use this particular option also. Okay. Fine. I can specify instead of two rows, I can put this one and your event marketing also here. And this particular row, I'll try to delete it. So instead of 6 rows, I'll be maintaining only 3 rows here. All right. Now click on save. Done. Now let's go back to your model structure. If any data is available, I'll try to delete it. Currently, there is no data. Fine. Now let's create one input form for this. Move the data. Drag and drop the table widget. Within columns, select revenue. Within rows, go to add dimension. And here, let us take first the company code, then profit center, then cost center. Then within the company code, select it as all members. Then remove unassigned value. Profit center. Cost center. Done. Then we can enable show unbooked data, or if you want to display this as ID. And I'll make this as show unbooked data. And within the columns, show unbooked data. Done. Now select your table, go to styling. So within the styling, color fill for editable cells, make it as green. Okay, click on OK. And if you want a little bit format, go for cell and wrap the cells here. Cool. Now I'll try to drag to this to last. Now you can see that the data is input enabled according to our validation rules. Say, for example, if I maintain here as 500, and one more thing, what you can do, you can just go to, you can select your table, go to show or hide, select a reason for unplannable data, come out. Now enter 500, another 500. Now this cell is not plannable, okay, or input enabled. And the reason for this, lock by validation rule. Perfect. Then go for 500. Then for 300, this is your validation rules. Now I can go for publish data. So company code, remove the unbooked data now. For example, you want to check the top to bottom distribution, then you can copy this to another page. Go to copy to a new page or new canvas page. Then within this, you can remove your cost center, profit center, and keep the company code itself here. Currently, the distribution is there according to your cost centers. So we got this values, we manually done it. But if you want that automatic distribution from your company code to your cost centers, then I'll try to delete this data. We already published, so we can delete this data. So I'll remove all the versions here. Then now refresh the data here. Select this as, so you can right click, go for add member. Select as 1000. Now you can input the value as 3000. Okay, so we are trying to input the data at company code level. Then try to refresh now. Switch to data management. Go to your model structure. Unpublished data. Now the data is distributed to your corresponding cost centers equally. Okay, so we have seen one is bottom to top approach, that is manual planning. So now we have seen your top to bottom approach here. In the same way, you can delete the data again. Go for a revert data. Okay. Next, so let's have the company code and profit center added. Then I'll go for show unbooked data. Then your measures, I'll try to make this as show unbooked data. Then here I'll try to put this as 1000, 1000, and 1000. Once done, go back to your dimension, refresh it. Now see the values is not 500, 500, 500, but it is 333. And the second distribution is 1000, and next it is 500. Fine. So coming to the point when to use attribute-based validation rules and member-based validation rules. So in attribute-based validation rules depends on business characteristics. Say, for example, allow discount rates about 20% only for cost centers where profit center is equal to 100. So we give the attribute value here as a profit center is equal to 100. Now automatically these three cost centers will come into effect. If there are 100 cost centers within one profit center, still no need to specify individually, right? In a member-based rules. So for example, when you give the condition as allow discount rates about 20% only for cost center, now we're going to act this condition on your main member, right? Cost center is equal to 101, 102, and 103. You need to specify them. for each member, right? Now, next, new members are frequently added. Then you can go for your attribute-based. Less maintenance when master data changes, right? Low maintenance. Coming to member-based, rules apply to specific member, right? The member list is relatively stable or it's a fixed requirement. Requires maintenance when new members are added. Okay. Easier when only few members are involved. The member list is low and maintenance will be a little more for your member-based validation. Okay. Fine. Thanks, everyone. See you for the next topic. Thank you.